provided with supportive services through outreach workers, and over 2,000 individuals were in the city's shelter system. 311, our non-emergency call center, did extend its hours to support police and fire and lessen the demand on our emergency phone systems, and fielded over 9,000 calls. And because of the work of these individuals, we were able to make it through the storm without major incident and had limited power outages and downed trees, which was something we were prepared for. Overall, the city's Emergency Operations Center was a success and really helped us weather the storm. As an example, at times when we have such increased snow like this, our medics have difficulty navigating through that depth of snow. The EOC allowed us to improvise and find a solution by using police vehicles to coordinate with fire to get individuals to hospitals. We've had some success stories, including a woman who delivered a baby over the weekend. Now I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Managing Director Clarena Tolson to talk about the plowing operations.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. While the snow emergency has been lifted, it is important for citizens to note that the snow removal operations are ongoing. This weekend's blizzard was the 4th greatest in our city's history, and accordingly, recovery will take some time. As the city's primary roads are largely passable, secondary and tertiary streets and residential streets will be the main focus of our efforts over the coming days. This plowing is a collective effort involving 12 agencies along with the Streets Department. To date, we have plowed nearly 1,800 miles of city streets, and we've used over 10,000 tons of salt. There are currently 390 plows that are in operation, and this is full force, along with 600 personnel. All of our non-emergency plowing requests, we ask that they come into the 311 system, not 911. Residents are encouraged to submit their plowing and salting requests through the website, which is www.phila.gov/311, which is the mobile app. Also through our Twitter and Facebook pages for Philly 311. Remember, all non-emergency calls should come through 311, not 911. Residents can help the plowing process by heeding certain instructions, and those include not parking close to corners to allow for the trucks to turn into our smaller residential blocks, not parking away from the sidewalk, far away from the sidewalk, or double parking, because that also blocks vehicles from turning or proceeding through streets. We ask that property owners clear their sidewalks so that pedestrians can stay on the sidewalks and not in the street, and that they also not shovel snow from the cars or the sidewalk into the street. In addition, if possible, we ask people to help with the storm drains, to provide some clearance as the temperatures rise and the snow begins to melt, so that the water can then go down the drain versus puddling in the street and possibly freezing over. Finally, I'd like to add that we expect to resume trash collections, trash and recycling collections on tomorrow. So those who have Tuesday trash and recycling collections should expect to have Tuesday collection of those items. We're able to do this because our sanitation vehicles, which have been acting as plow trucks for the last several days, have largely addressed the streets that they're able to address. Because they are only plow trucks, they do not salt as well. They have been used to push back and widen lanes in some of our major streets. That effort should be wrapping up today, so their plow effort is now largely diminished, and we will focus their efforts instead on collecting trash. So we will be resuming Tuesday trash and recycling collections tomorrow. At this point, I'd like to turn over to Vince Fennerty, who is the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Parking Authority.
Thank you, Commissioner Tolson. In response to the ongoing cleanup, the Philadelphia Parking Authority is not enforcing meter and kiosk violations today. However, the Philadelphia Parking Authority and police will enforce and ticket all safety violations, including prohibited parking in front of fire hydrants, bus zones, no stopping any time zones, handicap zones, as well as double parking, blocking crosswalks, and similar safety violations. These type of infractions are also subject to tow if they are in a tow zone. The parking authority had also extended the $5 discount in our garages till Tuesday morning for vehicles which were in as of last night. The mayor will talk a little more about this when he comes up, but we're also going to extend that today if you go in tonight after 5 o'clock and leave before 7 tomorrow morning at our garages, which I will announce which they are. It'll only be $5 for tonight. If you can put your car in a garage, take a bus home, it'll help to clean up for the small streets if you get your vehicles off the street so the smaller plow vehicles and bobcats can get through them. The authority garages are the Auto Park at Independence Mall, which is at 5th and Market, the Auto Park at Jefferson, which is at 10th and Ludlow, the Auto Park at Old City, which is at 2nd and Sampson Streets, the Auto Park at 8th and Filbert, that's 801 Filbert. There's at 15th and Chestnut and 15th and Cherry. And that is the Family Court Garage, which is at 15th and Cherry between Arch. That's completely dry. There's several hundred unused spaces in there each evening, which people can go into for $5. And it's now my pleasure to ask Jeff Knueppel from SEPTA to say a few words.
Okay. Broad Street Subway, Market Frankfurt, City Trolleys, Media Sharon Hill Line, all operating normal. Our city and suburban bus routes, we're at about 70% of routes operating, with 47 open in the city, 31 open in suburban. Where we are operating, we still have detours and delays. The issues with this are still road conditions and vehicles parked in ways that are prohibiting the buses from getting around. We're continuing to work with the cities and county to make this situation better. On the Norristown High Speed Line, we are open from 69th Street to Bryn Mawr. Bryn Mawr to Norristown right now is a stretch we're working on. The third rail has been buried in snow. We have a jet engine and other equipment working out there. It's too close to call right now, so people have to continue to watch whether we'll be able to completely restore service to Norristown by tomorrow morning. On the regional rail, all lines are operating, but a portion of the Paley line will not come back until later today. This is the section west of Malvern, while Amtrak forces are making repairs to an air compressor line. Our service is running from on time to up to 45-minute delays and some cancellations. You should check to make sure that your train has not been canceled as we move through the rest of the day. Our biggest problem right now is parking lots on the railroad. It is a big issue. Anywhere from 30 to 50% of our spaces are lost due to snow piles, and we are using an army of contractors tonight with loaders and dump trucks to move snow literally out of the parking lots. We will continue with those efforts. When you use big equipment like that, it's mostly going to be at night, but we'll keep pushing our way through the week and working to get snow out of our parking lots. For our CCT service, again, tomorrow we're looking mostly for dialysis, medical appointments, and work appointments. It's been very difficult for the smaller CCT vehicles to navigate into certain areas. They've been getting stuck, so we still have to try to limit where we're going. This is, much of our service is up and strong. The places that are not, it's a very fluid situation. We ask for people to continue to go to our website at septa.org, and thank you for your patience as we keep working to fully restore our network. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the Mayor, Jim Kenney. I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do that on purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Knueppel. Let's all try it one more time. Knueppel. Okay, good, thank you. Mayor Kelly. Well, first of all, I want to praise the good work of all our emergency services and city employees. Again, I can't tell you how much I respect and appreciate their efforts from every department who was involved in this effort and continues to be involved in this effort when it comes to snow removal. Specifically, our police department stepped up big time when it came to helping our medic units and created a situation to get to our paramedics to locations where people had needed service quickly, and we adjusted during the course of the storm, and it really did work well. I want to ask people for patience during the cleanup and remind them this is the 4th greatest snowfall in city history. As a matter of fact, in one night we received 18-some inches. It was the largest single snowfall in a 24-hour period. So we do appreciate your patience. We're getting to your streets. We have to take care of the big ones first to get everything rolling, and then that affects the most number of people, but we haven't forgotten you, and we are coming or we are already there. I want to remind citizens to be careful. Just because the storm has passed doesn't mean the danger is over. And the water that melted during yesterday's warmer temperatures has refrozen, and that will continue to happen over the next couple of days. So be careful where you step, and use your common sense. I'm going to ask people to please use mass transit whenever possible, and driving will still be difficult and very risky for both the drivers and for our pedestrians. Finally, it is not uncommon for fires to occur following storms like this, so please clear the snow and ice from fire hydrants so the firefighters can hook up hoses quickly in the event of a fire. Seconds make a difference in these kinds of situations. I want to reiterate Mr. Fennerty's information relative to the in by 5, out by 7 a.m. in our parking garages for the parking authority are $5. No meter or kiosk enforcement, but they will be enforcing safety code violations. So if parking in front of a hydrant, parking overextended the curb, things that create safety issues will be ticketed and will be dealt with. So with that, I'd like to just thank everyone for all the work that they've done and continue to do throughout this Mother Nature event, and be happy to answer any questions. Yeah. All day tomorrow. They will not. Correct. Correct. If you're parked in front of a fire hydrant, you're going to get a ticket. You're still good to go.
Give me a sense, you mentioned, and you've heard this from a lot of people, 4th largest storm in the city. Very true. It's also true that 3 of those have come within the last 6 or 7 years, so if anything, the city is a little more used to them. I realize the first 2 of those 3 took place under previous administration. Do you feel like you learned anything in terms of getting more quickly and efficiently, especially some of these side streets that you're still people complaining about their streets having touched?
Well, first of all, we can always learn, and we'll continue to learn, and each individual event has a different parts of it that we can learn from. Obviously, we need to get our primary streets and secondary streets as clear as possible before we can get to the tertiary streets, to the smaller streets. And I recognize if it's your street, it's important to you, and if you're not out yet, you're frustrated, and I recognize that. But we have to go through this in a methodical way to make sure the city gets back to work as soon as possible. As you see, we had a large snow event over the weekend, and we're open Monday for business, and we're moving forward and getting those things done. And as I'll reiterate to you, my life experience as a citizen, when I was a kid, up until this, I think the street administration, they never plowed side streets. So, and we're plowing side streets every day. Continuing last night, people were telling me at 4 o'clock in the morning there were plows and trucks moving snow at 4 a.m. all night long today. Certainly, if your street's not plowed yet, I understand your frustration. Be patient. We're getting there. Yes, I'm sorry. Get.
Maybe this is a question for Commissioner Tolson, perhaps, but I understand the city not wanting residents to shovel snow at the streets.
Yes.
Because it's counterproductive.
Yes.
For residents living in the acoustic corners, I saw some Bobcats and maybe some other parking authority vehicles pushing snow onto the corners. Do you want residents to help who are shoveling to maybe assist in that, pushing snow onto the corners?
I mean, look, you have to use your common sense. Each street is different. Each configured street is different. And because the smaller streets are older, there's peculiar problems that are associated with those streets that are not associated with Broad Street or Washington Avenue or those kinds of things. So use your common sense. Get a 3-foot path. Pile your snow up against your wall or at the curb. Try to leave the parking lanes available when we clear them. And again, just do whatever you can to what makes sense, because again, if you throw the snow back into the street after it's been plowed, it's going to cake up, it's going to get hard, it's going to freeze, and it's going to create more problems. And we just want to move as much snow as possible. Yes. That is our goal, but I mean there's some, and again, part of the problem, and this is not overall a major issue all the time, but people, I had people taking their cars out within hours after the snow finishing, stalling out, getting stuck, delaying the plows, having to have a tow truck come and pull them out. I don't know where anybody was gone on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon with it. If you knew you had to go to work on a Sunday, there were places you could put your car where you could access it and get to work on Sunday. But if it's just a matter of taking your car out because you feel like driving it, to me, it's just not helpful. I mean, certainly you can do it. You have a right to do whatever you want, but it's not helpful to the process because it delays and clogs up the plows from getting through and doing what they have to do.
Our goal is to have all of our streets passable, all of our throughways. I'm not talking about dead-end streets or alleys, but all of our throughways passable by the end of the day on Wednesday. That is our goal. And we're working very hard. Let me share with you some of the challenges with the streets that are remaining. The process earlier on has been that we've been able to use larger trucks, pickups even for some of our smaller streets. The challenge that we have is that at 22 inches, for some of our smaller streets, the trucks that we use in those streets, the amount of snow that we have is larger than the plow that we can fit into the street. So we have to shift some of our operations to one where we're using the bobcats that were mentioned earlier, which basically are front-end loaders or pippins to actually lift and push snow from the streets. That means that for plowing a street, instead of it taking 2 to 3 minutes per block to plow a street, going through it carefully for a small street, instead it now takes 1/2 hour to 45 minutes for one block to plow. So our challenge is over the remaining streets to move as swiftly as possible, but understanding that the process is much slower per block than it has been to date because of what it's going to take operationally to accomplish the task at hand. Well, I want to be careful with you saying every street, because we all know that there's some streets that are 4-foot wide cartways. That is not our priority. But it's a street that has a name on it. So I understand that there are streets that may not be addressed by the effort. But for those through streets where people have to, where they live on them, cars travel through them regularly, we certainly address those that carry the most amount of traffic. So a street that carries 1,000 cars per day is certainly a larger priority than a street that carries 3 cars per day. But we are working to address as many streets as we can, and we hope that we are achieving the 99.9% achievement goal by the end of the day on Wednesday. But it's not to say that we won't continue to work where needed and to do multiple passes, because that's going to be the effort that is required. But as I mentioned, the process is much slower for the remaining streets because different equipment will be needed.
Do you know?
We didn't do a count.
Yesterday was 158. We don't have a full count yet today. But again, I think people can recognize when you're on a snow emergency route and the cars are gone, it is so much easier to lift snow, put it in dump trucks and get it out of there so that the curb space has become available as soon as possible. And I think that that's been accomplished in many, many areas of the city. It varied from place to place, and I won't get into where places, but look, overall, people cooperated. I'm very, very happy and proud that the vast majority of our citizens helped and cooperated. I mean, we were up, Mike DiBerardinis and I were up at, with our police, some of our police officers at Fishtown when one of our medic units, got snowbanked. And people come out of their homes, with shovels to help to push and try to get, and the paramedics were wonderful. They walked to the patient, and look, we all work together, and there's going to be criticism, and certainly criticism is fair, and people have their opinions, but I think we've all worked together as a city and really got ourselves through this in a relatively short period of time. Don't know. I talked to Dr. Height yesterday. They suggested early on, about 4 o'clock, they were going to make the call, and they did. Our biggest concern was the number of snowdrifts in the city and the size of our little children, and worried about not being able to see them and them walking to school. And it was just a much better way to approach the problem by not having school today. We've had some school closures because of the Pope's visit, but this is the first snow closure, and I think the safety of our little children are more important than having the school open, and they decided, it's their call really, but they do it with consultation from us, not to have our little kids out there walking around in snowdrifts.
Mayor, would it be possible for schools to be open? Clarena, you had said some of the streets are going to still be difficult to get down.
Well,
Very small streets. I mean,
well, but
are you going to have snow removal?
well, they have their own snow removal process themselves. They're involved, I believe, mostly with contractors doing that. But I will tell you, as a person who grew up in the city of Philadelphia, we had major snow events, and I was able to get to school. But making sure that, again, it was safe to walk, and the main things we were concerned about were the number of drifts, the number of piles that were at corners where pedestrians could not be seen as easily, and especially little kids.
I know the school district has the capability to do stuff on their sidewalks, on their blocks. The big streets usually are the purview of the city.
Right. Yeah, they're in the process. They're either ready now or in the process of being done. The thing about this whole event for me is this interagency cooperation. I think has been awesome. I mean, if you look at the folks standing up here representing all these different agencies, we all work together. We all worked arm in arm to get this done, and we're working with our school district to do the same thing. Not only when it comes to snow, but we're continuing the inspection of our boilers in conjunction with L&I and the school district, and trying to get. So we're a cooperative group who want to work together with each agency. Okay, thank you very much. The details I have is it was a residential oil situation. It was not, obviously it came from a residence. I don't know the specifics of what happened. Maybe Sam could give you a little more idea. I think the Coast Guard is in control of the situation, and she can give you some idea.
There was a home heating oil spill, about 3,800 gallons, and there is, some of it is in the Schuylkill at this point. Coast Guard is involved. It's a navigable waterway, so they have the lead, command over the event. Hazmat Task Force was deployed early this morning as well. There is a contractor that was hired by the responsible party who's actively engaged. So, and all of the appropriate downstream notifications from water intake, Veolia, and Exelon have all been taken care of. No, because of the quick notifications, we were able to, close the intakes and monitor the situation. Thanks.
Thank you.